The Victorian era was known for elegance and modesty, yet underneath their corsets, thousands of women were voluntarily swallowing pills containing the eggs of a parasitic monster to stay thin. It was marketed as the ultimate miracle cure, a diet where you could eat cakes, chocolates, and heavy meats all day long, yet still lose weight rapidly without ever exercising. The secret wasn't a chemical, it was a living creature. Inside the pill was a cyst of a beef tapeworm, waiting to hatch inside the human stomach and start feeding. Once hatched, this parasite didn't just stay small. It latched onto the intestinal walls and could grow up to 30 feet long, coiled up tight inside a woman's abdomen. The science was terrifyingly simple. The worm acted like a second mouth, consuming half the nutrients the woman ate, effectively starving her body even while her stomach was completely full. But beauty came with a price. Users suffered from constant headaches, epilepsy, and a horrific sensation of something squirming and moving inside their bellies, especially after they finished a meal. The real nightmare began when the worm got too big, could travel upwards, causing women to choke as the parasite tried to exit through the throat instead of the bowels. Getting it out was worse than keeping it in. Doctors would tempt the worm by placing a bowl of warm milk near the woman's open mouth, waiting to grab it. Inventors even created a metal cylinder with bait inside. The patient swallowed this device on a string, hoping the worm would crawl inside the trap so it could be pulled out. So why did rational people invite a monster into their bodies? The story of the tapeworm diet reveals the dark and desperate lengths humans will go to for the perfect waistline. Imagine walking through London in the late 1800s. The ideal beauty standard was the wasp waist. Women were tightly laced into corsets that crushed their ribs and organs. But for some, the corset wasn't enough. They wanted to be pale, fragile, and incredibly thin, a look often associated with tuberculosis. To achieve this sickly chic look, they turned to the black market for a pill that promised effortless results. Newspapers and discreet flyers advertised these sanitized tapeworms as a risk-free beauty secret. They claimed the worms were clean and safe. The marketing was brilliant, targeting wealthy women who loved to attend banquets but feared gaining an ounce of fat. It was sold as the perfect solution, gluttony without the consequences. Little did they know they were buying a one-way ticket to a biological nightmare. The pill itself looked harmless, but inside the gelatin shell sat a small, dormant cyst of Taenia saginata, the beef tapeworm. Once swallowed, the pill would dissolve in the stomach acid. The cyst would break open, and the larval tapeworm would emerge. It would use tiny hooks on its head to anchor itself firmly into the lining of the small intestine, beginning its new life as a parasite. This is where the horror truly started. The tapeworm has no digestive system of its own. It absorbs nutrients directly through its skin. So, as the Victorian lady enjoyed her roast beef and pudding, the worm absorbed the calories before her body could process them. She would lose weight rapidly, delighting her friends and dressmakers, while the beast inside her grew segment by segment, inch by inch. We are not talking about a small earthworm here. Tapeworms can grow to terrifying lengths. In a human host, they can easily reach 25 to 30 feet. That is the length of a school bus, coiled up inside a person's intestines. As it grew, it occupied physical space, causing the woman's stomach to protrude oddly, creating a potbelly that contradicted the weight loss she was trying to achieve. The physical toll was devastating. Because the worm stole essential vitamins, women suffered from malnutrition. Their skin turned gray and eyes became sunken. They experienced insomnia, irritability, and meningitis. But the psychological toll was worse. Imagine trying to sleep at night and feeling a distinct, rhythmic slithering motion deep inside your gut. It was a living presence that never slept, constantly reminding the host that she was not alone. Sometimes the worm didn't stay put. If the host vomited or the worm became agitated, it could migrate. There are medical records of tapeworms moving into the pancreatic duct or blocking the appendix. In rare, horrific cases, larvae could enter the bloodstream and form cysts in the brain or eyes, a condition called cysticercosis, leading to seizures, blindness, and eventually a painful death for the beauty seeker. The most common sign of the infection was in the bathroom. Tapeworms are segmented. As they grow, older segments break off and are excreted. A woman would look down and see moving, white, rice-like segments in her waist. These segments were filled with eggs, ready to infect others. It was a dirty, shameful secret that elite women had to hide from their husbands and society. Eventually, the woman would reach her target weight or become too sick to continue. But you couldn't just stop the diet. Killing the worm inside the body was dangerous. A 30-foot rotting corpse in your intestines could cause fatal blockages. The worm had to be removed alive and intact. This necessity led to some of the most bizarre and terrifying medical procedures in history. One popular home remedy involved the patient sitting with their mouth wide open for hours. A bowl of warm milk would be placed on a table in front of them. The theory was that the worm would smell the milk, detach from the intestine, and slither up the throat to get it. Doctors would wait with forceps, ready to grab the parasite's head the moment it appeared. The milk method was incredibly risky. If the worm started to climb up the esophagus but got stuck, or if the patient panicked and clamped their mouth shut, the worm could suffocate them. Imagine the sensation of a thick, slimy creature moving up your throat. Many women chose to live with the parasite rather than endure the sheer terror of trying to coax it out through their mouths. In 1854, Dr. Alban Myers invented a device specifically for this. It was a gold cylinder filled with bait, attached to a silk string. The patient swallowed the metal capsule. The idea was that the worm would put its head inside to eat the bait, and the doctor would pull the string, dragging the worm out. It sounds ingenious, but it was often a disaster in practice. The Myers trap frequently failed. Sometimes the worm ignored the bait. Worse, the metal cylinder could get stuck in the throat or stomach, causing internal bleeding. Patients sometimes choked on the string. It was a medieval torture device disguised as a medical tool. It highlighted the desperation of the air-swallowing metal traps was seen as a reasonable alternative to just eating a salad and going for a walk. When traps failed, doctors turned to poisons. They used toxic substances like mercury or arsenic in small doses to paralyze the worm so it would be expelled naturally. These treatments were often just as dangerous as the worm itself, slowly poisoning the host. It was a game of Russian roulette. Kill the parasite before the cure kills the patient. Many women suffered permanent organ damage from these treatments. This wasn't just for the anonymous masses. There were rumors that famous opera singer Maria Callas used a tapeworm to lose nearly 60 pounds, though she later claimed it was just a pasta-free diet. Whether true or not, the association with celebrities made the tapeworm diet seem glamorous. It was the Ozempic of the 19th century, a secret weapon for the rich and famous to stay impossibly thin. The industry was rife with fraud. Many tapeworm pills sold by traveling salesmen were actually fake. They were just placebo pills made of flour. Ironically, the women who bought the fake pills were the lucky ones. They lost money but kept their health. The unfortunate ones who got the authentic product paid for it with years of chronic illness, digestive issues, and a terrifying co-inhabitant. Consider the combined assault on the Victorian body. From the outside, the corset was crushing the ribs and displacing the liver. From the inside, a giant worm was stealing nutrients and occupying space. It is a miracle that these women survived at all. It paints a grim picture of societal pressure, where a woman's value was determined entirely by the inches of her waistline. As medical science advanced in the 20th century, the dangers became undeniable. Governments banned the sale of tapeworm pills. The FDA in America stepped in, classifying them as dangerous. But banning a product doesn't always stop the demand. Even today, you can find disturbing corners of the dark web where people still discuss or attempt to buy tapeworm eggs for weight loss, proving vanity is timeless. Let's look at the biology one last time. Tapeworms are hermaphrodites. They can reproduce on their own. A single worm can produce thousands of eggs. If a woman on the diet didn't wash her hands properly, she could reinfect herself or infect her entire family. It wasn't just a personal diet choice. It was a public health hazard that spread parasites through entire households. Comparing this to the Roman crocodile dung, we see a pattern. The Romans used external filth for beauty. The Victorians invited filth inside. Both societies were the pinnacle of civilization in their time, yet both fell victim to dangerous pseudoscience. It shows that intelligence and wealth do not protect people from insecurity. If anything, the wealthy are often the first to try the most dangerous new trends. We look back in horror, but are we different? We perform risky surgeries, inject toxins like Botox, and take unregulated supplements. The tapeworm diet seems barbaric because it involves a monster, but the underlying psychology is identical. We are willing to suffer, risk our health, and pay a fortune, all to fit into a visual mold created by fashion magazines and society. For the women who survived the diet and removed the worm, the psychological scars remained. Many developed phobias of food or eating. The trauma of having a parasite pulled from their throat or body left a lasting impact. They had achieved the perfect body, but at the cost of their mental peace. It was a hollow victory, attained through a pact with a parasite. The Victorian tapeworm diet remains one of the most infamous chapters in medical history. It is frequently cited in medical textbooks as a warning against unregulated weight loss products. It stands as a monument to human vanity. It reminds us that there is no magic pill for health, and that usually, if something sounds too good to be true, it is likely disgusting and dangerous. From the pill to the parasite, from the corset to the cure, the story of the tapeworm diet is a tragedy of errors. Combined bad science with high fashion. It turned the human body into a hotel for a beast. It is a story that makes us nauseous, but also makes us think about the limits we place on our own bodies for acceptance. History is full of these terrifying medical mistakes. We have barely scratched the surface of the strange things our ancestors did for beauty and health. If you thought this was gross, wait until you hear about what they did with radioactive water in the 1920s. The past is a strange and dangerous place, and we are here to explore every dark corner of it. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next deep dive into history's darkest secrets. Who knows what other monsters are hiding in the medical books? Thanks for watching, and stay safe and maybe skip the diet pills. See you in the next video.